Hi, Carmen. I'm extremely delighted to have you today with me in this conversation. And we were chatting a couple of weeks ago about your company, about your positive energy, about everything you're doing within healthcare and health tech. And I know that you have a lot of experience in multiple industries. So I was very, very excited to share with everyone else some of your thoughts around the current situation and around what it's like to be in digital therapeutics. So Carmen, you are the head of operations and business of Limbix. And Limbic is on the front lines of digital therapeutics and VR for quite some time. And I was wondering what it's like to be on the front lines with digital therapeutics and virtual reality. How do you prove such innovative approaches and medical devices for treatment?
Good. Hi, Maya. Thank you for having me on board. I'm very excited to be talking to you despite the distance. This is one of the blessings that COVID has provided us
exactly.
with. So Limbix was founded 3 years ago by Scott Satkin, Jonathan Sokol, and Ben Lewis in Silicon Valley. So it's a Silicon Valley company. The founders are techies, but one of the things that they did very well from the beginning was count with research on everything they did. So they found a gap in the market, and they saw, Ben had been at Oculus, Scott used to be the number 2 at Google Street View, and they saw that there was a gap and that there could be a very positive impact in the use of virtual reality for mental health care. And that's when they decided to found Limbix. So for 2 years, the focus was in developing great content and based on research. So research partnerships with top subject matter experts in each of the disciplines that they wanted to tackle. So we have an array of content that start on anxiety and depression, but also for the treatment of phobias. So it's cognitive behavioral exposure therapy, where if you get exposed to the problem, you manage to handle it better over time. And then 2 years into the game, and when we started the go-to-market plan for the virtual reality, was when digital therapeutics companies started to kind of get more relevant thanks to partnerships with big pharma companies such as Novartis and Sanofi, that they've been, the leading pharmaceutical companies in adopting digital therapeutics. And there's Click and Pear and Achille Gaming, who are doing fantastic work in this space. And then we realized that there was a huge gap in treating adolescents. The rise of adolescent depression diagnosed over the past 5 years has been of 65%, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Just in the US, in the past month, due to COVID, the rise on prescription of antidepressants has been of 21%. So there was, there's a huge need in the market, and I think one of the things that when you look at history and you say, okay, 20 years ago, if you were diagnosed with depression, you would be sent to the doctor.
Yeah.
You would be diagnosed with the condition, and you would get prescribed a bunch of drugs and psychotherapy. 20 years later, the same happening. Why? When we have so much technology at our hand, and when actually, cognitive behavioral therapy works, and technology can actually help you adopt that on a daily basis. So that's kind of been the focus of, that's when we pivoted to adolescent depression, and we've started building our first product, which is Limbic Spark. We've undergone our clinical phase 1 trial with a sample of 30 subjects, and the reduction has been significant. Like, it's been very, very good results. You're a lady of science. I'll happily share the results with you after this call. And now we're going down the FDA route, and COVID has been, very positive for us, because the adoption of digital therapeutics during this pandemic has actually increased tenfold.
Yeah.
One of, each crisis has a gift, and one of the gifts of this crisis will be that healthcare has been put at the front of our lives.
Yeah, like priority finally.
Yes.
Actually, that brings me to my next question. You mentioned COVID-19, and it's true that the FDA published a couple of guidelines, including about medical devices and like digital therapeutics being more used for like helping patients remotely, monitoring these patients remotely. And before that, like we were never thinking that overnight we will get such freedom to use these tools out there. So do you think that will stay after the pandemic, or do you think that will change?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's I wouldn't, initially I was thinking the word that came to mind was relaxation of the rules, but I don't think it is a relaxation. It's just a change of the rules, and it's adapting the times to the technology available. So I believe this is here to stay. We've had a few years happen in a few weeks in regards to healthcare.
Yeah.
I'm loving how, all of a sudden public, very complex healthcare systems have adopted remote patient visits. So currently, like yesterday I was speaking to a very good friend of mine, and she had a virtual appointment with her, general practitioner for a condition that she has. This would, 2 months ago, this didn't happen. You would call your general practitioner, you'd get an appointment, and within a few days you'd get your appointment, and you'd see your doctor of trust. But at the moment, it's just a phone call. They assess you. It's kind of, doctors are being able to review their medical records from home, because before there were firewalls, you can access patients' data. So I'm actually in love with the years and the weeks that we've seen as a result of this current crisis. And I think it's here to stay. I think tying it up to what we were saying earlier, this is an opportunity to come down to earth, to realize and value what's really important. So we've realized that we don't need that many things. And that actually what's important is that, you and your loved ones are healthy. And this is going to trigger, also preventative medicine, is also going to, instead of curing the illness, it's just, building up, your immune system, through a more natural approach. And also, I think governments are realizing that research and development in science is highly important, and in the recent years we've just seen governments slash those budgets to to almost nothing. And all of the cuts in healthcare, this has been everywhere, like we've seen not only in the UK, throughout Europe, Spain, any of the other countries, all of the frontline workers who are currently our soldiers, who are taking care of us and our people, they've had their salaries slashed, and these people should probably be the best paying salaries in the market.
And it's not just the salaries, but in terms of even quantity, like there should be more people like that. There should be more people, and you can't get more people involved with healthcare unless you really provide good conditions. Like, if you're a smart person, and they are, why would you choose an area where people won't appreciate your work and won't pay you enough for your work so that you can support your family, right?
Yeah, and educating, it starts at grassroots levels, how do we, ensure that we have education that encourages people to be, to want to be a doctor. I think that this crisis is gonna increase. I think there's a lot of children that have seen the beauty of, of being able to heal someone thanks to science. And I think we'll also see a lot of kids that will say, hang on a second, maybe I want to go into STEM, and I want to go into science. I want to be able to fix you know, if one of my loved ones gets ill.
Yep.
So I think that's also one of the rises that we'll see of this. But as I said earlier, I'm an optimist.
Yeah.